All right, welcome back everyone to our monthly Fireside Chat update. Last month we did our first Fireside Chat with this group, and I think it was a resounding success. In fact, I think Cass decided he liked the outcomes of that call so much he decided he wanted to do one of these calls every month for you guys. And so here we are. We're back to do our monthly update here, whether we call this a letter to the stockholder or a state of the program. The bottom line, this is an update for you all about the status of your program, and we're just really excited to do that. And I'm excited to say here that you can see here on the screen, we've got everyone back from who we had last month, minus Dennis, but we've got Cass, our founder and our chairman of the board here, Bill Glenn, the president and chief operations officer, and Dr. Tippins, and James Tippins, our executive vice president for corporate development. So we got our same team back here. It's going to be a great discussion. I think if you recall the initial discussion we had in June, the intent of these fireside chats were really to provide you all with an overview for the vision of where MorrowMarriage is going. We discussed some new programs that were coming online here. We talked about some future implementation. And like I said, I think we just were able to lay out some great ideas and lay those out for you all in kind of a very succinct manner. So tonight I'm really excited about our discussion as we're going to move into what I'm calling a more formalized agenda. I'm chuckling there because I think if you've been around this group enough, we have a tendency to kind of talk about what's on our mind. So keeping it focused and kind of keeping it the discussion more formalized, I think will be really good. We want to kind of talk tonight really about four main topics that I think would be a good part of our discussion tonight. First and foremost, we want to give you all just kind of a quick update, like where we were and where things went the previous month. So from where we were in June, what happened since June into the month of July, what happened over that month, how did things go, did things change, why did some things change, and give you a little bit of perspective from that. So we'll have a discussion around that. The second piece is we're going to talk about some upcoming events, like what's going to happen over, say, the next month. So in this particular case, what's going to happen here between the end of July and then the first part of August and into August. And we'll provide you some updates on major events and what we expect to take place over the next month. But certainly the biggest thing here, and I don't want to steal too much thunder now, we'll get into this in a minute. The Morrows are moving to Texas, so that's going to be exciting thing that'll be coming up here. We'll talk a little bit about that. The third thing we'll talk about is giving just a little bit more of a longer term vision updates for the programs, provide you with some more refined updates on some of the longer term projects and programs that we're working on. Maybe talk about some expected implementation dates if we can share those as we know them. We'll be happy to do so. The fourth part that we're going to talk about, at least tonight, will be, we'll give you some updates on some new programs. Anything that's coming online here soon. We'll talk about some new programs here. And, maybe a thing for the future here is maybe as we get new programs online, maybe we'll have some guest appearances by staff or by the mentor or by the person who's going to give some of that instruction. It'll give you an opportunity to get a really a first-hand look at the program, meet the instructor maybe a little bit, and have you get a little bit excited about some of these new programs that are coming online. And then finally, we'll just let this open with an open, what I call a question and an answer period, or an open discussion. And for this group, I'm sure that will be easy for us to do. We're gonna have just some open discussions here. We're gonna let that discussion go anywhere that the leadership team here would like to go. And certainly, I think this group does their best work when they improvise or riff, as I call it, during these discussions. In fact, I think some of our greatest ideas come from that discussion part, right, guys? I think you'll agree with me. Agree with me on that. All right, so that's our plan. That's what we're going to cover here. Again, our goal here is to inform you all about some of the exciting and the new modifications and additions that are coming to MorrowMarriage. And really, just so you have an understanding of the direction that we're headed, and so that you can be just as excited about this program as we are. So that's what we're going to cover here over the next probably 45 to 60 minutes. Okay, sound fair to everybody? All right. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right into this. And so, guys, I thought one of the things I wanted to start with is just kind of going with a recap of what's happened over the last month since we last kind of got together here. What's changed about the program? And what's been kind of new in the last 30 days. Anybody want to take a first crack at it?
Who wants to jump in?
Yeah, James, maybe I can get you to talk a little bit about the app, if I could. It seems like every time I open the app, there is something new and exciting in the app, especially some stuff in the Learn tab. There are some things there about the app you want to share with the group here?
Sure, it's amazing. The app just, I mean, just out of nowhere. I don't know how it happens. It just gets updated and it starts to look better, and new product offerings and all sorts of stuff. Must be must be magic. It's actually our great leader, founder, Cass, who goes in and makes it do what it does. And not only does he think of it all and get it all in there, he spends all the painstaking hours to get it done. So if for all of you wanting to complain about the app, you need to praise what it is, because it just gets cleaner and cleaner and more focused. And you'll notice that there are a lot of things there, and I'll let Cass speak to some of these things, but there are ways to get into the program with each man now, rather than some people coming in saying, "Look, I don't really feel like I need the whole program, or it's not something that I can really do right now." We allow men to come in where they're at. We allow them to come in and find opportunity to say, "Hey, I'm going to deal with my insecurity. I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to deal with that." So these are all you'll see in the app there, and it's sort of unified. You see the little start here type thing that that gives a whole lot of stuff there as well. And you see support levels are a little easier. For me, I think that once you get into the app, it's a little easier to navigate, because you've got some sort of the start place where you can see everything that can help you. You can see the support levels. You can see information about Ascension, which we'll talk about also. That's the ambassador program and the mentor program and things of that nature. And then expansion packs like the purpose and stuff like that. And then you can get to the podcast and even the white picket fence. And then Cass and Kathryn, they did a wonderful job of going through some frequently asked questions and some, maybe you could call them even sort of rebuttals on, well, I just don't know that this will work for me, or what about this, or what about that. And it's just fantastic. So just in that, we've seen an incredible just transformation. And there are a lot of other things to come. Cass and I haven't had time this week to really do it because I'm head down on some other deadlines. But there are some more. There are some other offerings to come as well. But we'll talk about those later. Anything specific you want to know about, feel free to ask.
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand that we work hard to try to make sure we can reach every man where they're at. Sometimes that's a financial thing, and sometimes it's like, I just talked to a guy on the phone today. I was like, ethically, I can't sell you the whole program. You don't need it. I just need you to get this one module. you know? And so I'm really, really proud for that, because I think most people, especially in coaching businesses, I think they just try to sell their stupid high ticket program and oversell, to be perfectly honest. And so I'm really proud of this team, because, it shows a lot of character for everybody to be on board with my vision of making sure we reach men with where they're at financially and where they're at with, the amount of stuff these gentlemen have let me give away for free, so that, people can get exposed to it. And I just had a beautiful message from a man today saying, just with your free trainings, which is our automatic turnoffs, the rejection ladder, stat. And then he actually purchased a insecurity program, which is $17, whatever, he said, I got my wife to move home, like, we're doing something right, boys. You know what I'm saying? Proud of this.
Yeah, very good.
I think, Cass, well, when you talk about some of that kind of stuff, and it is remarkable all of the things that are on the applications part of the program that you do offer for free. You love to say it's not necessarily about what you're doing; it's about you provide the tools, and it's about the men implementing and using those tools, which is very true. I think I'm a walking testament to that. Just getting involved and using the tools has helped me so much in my personal growth since being part of the program. And I think there's so much truth to power there. And especially in the free program that you did with Momentum was certainly a huge game changer for me. Um, James, if I can kind of come back to you for just a moment and stick with the app for just a moment. I think one of the things that I've seen that's been kind of a really dramatic change, and I will just raise my hand and say I haven't been through all of them yet, are the how-to videos that you've put kind of at a lot of the major parts of the section here a little bit. I was wondering maybe if you could talk about some of those how-to videos and the importance of what those videos mean as you get into each of these sections, and how that can really help a new person who's coming into the program here.
Right. Well, with anything new, we find ourselves sort of lost, and we know what we want, but we don't know how to get there. And that's what brings people into the program to begin with. They need help, and so they need community. Well, the community is really what we are. We're a movement of people who have been transformed by what Cass has produced, which was his life's transformation. So he's sharing his transformation with us. We're sharing it with others. And part of that growth process and part of that development is really holding people's hand to get them going. And then once we get them going, we hold them accountable to take the initiative to really drive. But there are stumbling blocks, technological stumbling blocks. It's an overwhelming app. I went through a marketing guy earlier this week, and he's like, oh, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, you won't land in this app by yourself. And so part of my just fire and passion in life is to teach people and to help walk them through processes. So, I'll just sit here, we'll be having a conversation. I'm like, you know what? I'll do a video with that real quick. And so you put a video down, and there's some more that we need to do and some smaller ones. But don't ever and for those of you who are in the program, don't ever let something you see in the app. And I think, Dave, you might have even brought something to my attention earlier today, and I'm like, okay, we're going to fix that, or we're going to change that. Don't ever let the app or the technical side of things trip you up. It's okay to say, hey, I don't know what to do. Where do I go? Because if we don't have an answer for you, we'll get an answer very quickly. And I really want to encourage people, when they get into the program, just get into the introduction, those first few videos of how to get started in the app, how to get your profile done, and things of that nature. If you don't start there, you're not going to have the impact that this program is designed to give you. And so, there are a lot of, to me, from an L&D perspective, there's a lot of videos that I want to make on mindset, a lot of videos I want to make on, encouragement and also admonishment. Be careful, a strong sort of, not correction, but a little bit of a, hey, warning, warning, Will Robinson, don't go there. Don't do this. And, Cass does that within the program, but a lot of guys, they skip around. They don't, they're trying to get what they want out of something. And so, to answer your question, I think that's the best thing to do, is to start at the beginning, go through each little step, like we say on every call, on every coaching opportunity, do the program. And that begins with starting to know how to get into the program and know how to do things right.
Yeah, it's a little bit, if I could cast your ass right now, like, come on, you start at the top, you work your way down. You start at the left, you work your way right. This is not a new thing. I did not invent this, but unfortunately, some people struggle. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not because you're stupid. It's because you're going through an emotional problem right now. It's scary. It's hard, but left to right on the tabs on the bottom. Okay, cool. Learn, support, you just figure it out. And then when you're in there, you just work your way down. But James has done a phenomenal job of trying to alleviate some of that stress. And I think it's good. People need it. Once we start conquering some of these emotions and start just thinking clearly, it's just like anything else, man. None of us knew how to drive when we started. Like, come on. We had to figure out where the key goes, which pedal was the one that makes you move. It's the exact same thing. But for some reason, apps scare people. But go back to what we talked about earlier. We can't give as many options to people, meet as many men as possible, if we don't provide more service and structure on the app. I mean, that's it. We could sell everybody a super expensive program and it'd be more money every time we add something to it. Or we can meet every man where they're at and ask everybody to have a little bit of grace. When I owned the gym, I couldn't put the right song on for everybody when they worked out. It's physically impossible, right? So can we all love a little more, whether we're going through a lack of love at home or not? Can we all just try to love a little more? You know what I mean? So thank you, James, for making those videos. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, I will, if I can add on to that for just a minute. So I really, and the reason why I brought the app discussion up, because again, I've personally noticed over the last 30, 45 days, if you'll allow me to say this, and it's not meant to be derogatory in any way, that the professionalism that has been brought into the app more over the last 30 days has been phenomenal in my mind. It's the organization has has really taken on kind of its you know, its own mindset here a little bit. It's been really, it's much more easy to flow and to follow. Now, having said that, I've been in the program for several months now, so you know it's a little bit easier for me. But Cass, you hit on something that I think is really important too, and that is when you first come in, you are scared, right? You have finally been pushed to the limit of like, I need to do something because what I'm doing in my relationship is not working, and you're looking for the quick fix. And I think the way the app is structured does two things. One, it can be really overwhelming, right? You said scary. I said can say overwhelming. There's a lot of information there. And I think the way that you all have worked so hard to structure the app and to make it flow in such a way, you called it right, top to bottom, left to right, really makes a lot of sense now to a lot of guys. And so I think that that's been really, really helpful. And I think the other thing too, Cass, that should really be foot stomped here, and you kind of glossed over this just a little bit, is the ability to tier some of these programs, to meet men and to meet women, and to meet those who kind of need the help where they are and where they need to be. So I don't think that that's something that should be overlooked, and I think that those were two things that really kind of stood out to me. So, Bill, I don't know, do you have anything you want to add into that onto the app?
Sorry, technical difficulties. Yes, I do. Actually, not just the upgrades on the app, but now, we know that once you get to the end of that trial support period, we've noticed that guys were having trouble. So now we actually have a call to walk them through what support levels to help. Everything we're doing is geared towards helping the guy figure out what support he needs and not just pushing stuff that they don't need. That's a big thing about Cass and his vision is we want to make sure each man gets exactly what he needs for the moment that he's in.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's spot on. There's one more thing I kind of wanted to cover here a little bit. And Cass, this is really a question for you. I think, one of the other changes I've kind of seen here that I think has been a real positive is kind of how your role, I think, has been changing a little bit, right? It seems like the leadership team has been making a push to kind of not, if you allow me to say, pull back the reins a little bit, to get you some coaching aspects here a little bit so you can spend more time really being, using the creative juices that you have here to focus more on the vision for the company and the like. I was wondering maybe if you're comfortable with this, maybe could you talk about how you kind of been what your transformation has been like over the last 30, 45 days, and where you were still heavily in the coaching calls, so maybe now you've kind of let that go a little bit more. Dennis takes some more of those calls and others, and kind of where your focus has been lately.
Yeah, you bet. So, the first thing to realize about me is if I could, I would talk to every man. I know I took your call to invite you to the program. It's really important as long as possible that I can rein this in and hone this in, because I really believe the vision is to disrupt divorce. And now as you heard from the last letter to the shareholders, that, it's about creating men that make men, and so the only way that's possible, unfortunately, and especially in that emotional state we talked about, the only way that's possible is not to have every man speak to me. That's just literally impossible. I mean, before the team was brought in and we formed this new company, it was just Kathryn and me, and I was taking every call, and so I couldn't create more for everybody. I couldn't come up with the next project speaking to James or Bill or my wife, and so it's just physically impossible. I know that it bothers people. I know that because they love it when I take that initial call with them, but I know that if we're going to actually achieve the 30-year goal of just divorce statistics being lower, recognizing where the impactful men came from, it's physically impossible for me to speak to every man. It just is. So it's been a bit of a hardship for some of the men who've known me very well. And I have to remind myself, they are still clients. They're not my best friends, and I try to do this with as much grace and humility as possible. And James and Bill in particular know how much of a struggle it's been for me. But unfortunately, it's the only way to be able to create the company vision the way that we want. So actually, Kathryn is actually, if you really want to know, is behind the scenes saying, that's not a call for you. What are you doing? delete that voice note right now, you know? So she's reeling me in because I don't respect my boundaries because I want to give so much. So this is, if I talk to my wife, James and Bill, I actually get to give more by not talking to every man. And that's super cool. I never recognized it before. So.
Hey, and I can
Cass, go ahead,
add
Bill.
if you'd like. One thing, Cass's vision is so large, and the only way we can achieve his 30-year vision is to scale the company. And if you think about it, if it was just Cass doing all of this, talking to every guy, doing every call, then there's no way we can scale it. And then on the other side, Cass wants to leave this as a legacy. You know, none of us are immortal. So at some point, God forbid, I hope it's 50, 60, 80 years from now.
100 million years from now. Yeah.
Yeah. If Cass leaves us the way it was before, his vision would never come to fruition, right? Because it would stop with him. But now that the vision is we make men that make men, this will go on long after all of us are gone. It's going to continue. It's going to keep growing. This vision is going to be taught to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. And in order to do that, we have to take these steps and move in this direction.
And you know, that brings up a really, really cool point that, you know, if you're listening to this and you've been in a coaching program before, it's the only way you know this, but typically you might get 6 calls a week if you're absolutely lucky, if you're super lucky, but typically it's 3. You might not get the guy, you might not get his wife, you know, and even if we're talking about business coaching, but we've got the structure because they've moved me up and out of the way. We've got this where we have 24 calls a week. Like, come on, I'm proud of that. 24 calls a week for rapid results. You don't find that anywhere else, man. Like, you just don't. I don't care if you're talking about personal training for health, if you're talking about relationship coaching, like what we do, or business coaching, which we still can do because we offer it all, you know? And so without them removing me, Dave, we never could have been able to this is already giving more than anybody else does. And we haven't even got started, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would not call it removing you for sure. I think it's a way to help this grow, this vision grow, for us to be able to reach more men, more women, and to help more. And you know, I think the good news is part of that task, right, is because we've grown, we've, you know, the program has grown from 24 calls now a week, and all of the other things that are happening as part of the program. The good news here is that's a huge indicator that it's working, right? The company is growing, more people are getting involved, but more importantly, right, there's a bigger need out there. And this program is a program that can provide that. And I think you're starting to see the fruits of that labor, right? The exponential growth. And you can't do it all the time. And it takes a village to kind of be able to make this work. So I think having you know, that would be the good news as part of this is that the company is kind of growing, and to help implement that 100 million year vision that you got, I think it's only moving things in the right direction here. So, all right. So look, I'm going to wrap this kind of part up because I do want to kind of move into what's kind of coming up in the next month or so. But you know, just kind of as putting a fine bow on this section, I think for you know the listeners that will be out there listening to this, for me, what's happened over the last month is just tremendous growth and tremendous progress in working to really professionalize the program overall, whether that's in the application, whether that's in getting the right structure in place here with the leadership team. You know, in so many ways, you know, kind of reining ourselves in from getting a real good business structure in, being financially and fiscally responsible and disciplined, is really kind of a testament to how we see the program kind of becoming more professionalized. And so that's kind of how I kind of see where our growth has been over the last 30 to 45 days here. And I think that's just a tip of the cap to you all who've been working so hard on this. So, all right, so let's move into kind of talk a little bit about some of, you know, what's coming up here in the next month or so here. And here we are kind of mid July here. We want to talk a little about what's kind of coming up here near term, so the next 30 to 45 days, and talk about some of the new and exciting things here. Cass, I don't know if you want to talk here for just a moment, but some really exciting things for the Morrow family here starting next week. You're moving to Texas. Anything you want to kind of say about that?
We're just super excited. You know, we thought about this when COVID happened and we lost everything. I was like, why don't we go to Texas? Kathryn was down there years ago and nannied there for somebody from the Dallas Cowboys, actually, coach. I won't say who, but so she's got a bunch of friends, and then we said, well, you know what? We can do a whole lot more business. We can reach a whole lot more people a lot faster if we're down in the States. You know, here from Canada, you know, flights are 4 times as much. So we can do a lot more good work if we're down there, you know, just for starters. But all in all, you know, we've loved Texas for years. We are super excited to go. And so, yeah, a week from tomorrow, we go drive straight down with the family. Sounds scary because it sounds so far, but it's actually less than the drive across the country we've made. So we're actually doing better, but super pumped.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. I can imagine you're probably gonna be offline for just a little bit of time. I mean, having been a person who has moved 19 times in my career, moving can be really exciting, and at the same time, it can be extremely stressful, especially with a young family here. So, you know, as you kind of, you know, get yourself moved down there, is there a plan for while you're out a little bit? And as, you know, I don't know, Bill, I don't know if you want to talk about this as the president and chief operations officer, is there kind of a plan while Cass is kind of making the move here? Anything that maybe the listeners would be interested in kind of knowing about here a little bit?
It should be seamless. They're really not going to notice a difference in the program. We've got all the calls will be covered. If Cass can't be on the call, then it all of that'll be covered. So that nothing will lack while he's traveling. We've been planning this for a while.
Yeah, and you know, it's really important to understand, like anybody who mentors and covers a call, they're approved, you know? So, you know, if Dennis, for example, I think he's going to cover Kathryn's half wrap call, it's pretty particular because Kathryn created it. But, you know, at the end of the day, our guys know what they're doing, you know? That's why we're here. So I'm not worried at all. And the same thing for invitations to program, you know? I was talking to our CFO this morning. I'm like, well, of course I'm going to do a few hours of calls in the morning and a few hours of calls after we hit the hotel. Like, this is just how I roll. So we'll figure it out, you know?
Yeah, again, another huge testament to how we've kind of really started to structure the program here a little bit more. It allows things like you to be able to do this kind of stuff, which is super important. But knowing that you can do this and know that things are going to be, as Bill said, be seamless. There's going to be no degradation in what's being offered here. The guys are still going to get the same services that they need. It's because the mentorship that you've kind of given to guys, the mentors that are out there are well schooled or very well trained, and they really do know what they're doing. So I think that's just another testament to how well we've been kind of working and professionalizing the program and kind of moving it forward here a little bit. So,
One thing
you
that
know,
also,
James, go ahead,
can I
Chris.
real quick, sorry, before I haven't told everybody yet, but because I think it should be clear if you're in my program anyway, but we're going to land in Texas and we're getting new phone numbers, and I can't have everybody have my phone number anymore because my phone rings. I get 100 DMs a day, 100 texts a day, whatever. So that's something that will change that I just think is fair for everybody to hear, and I'll let the Lords know and everything. But yeah, I think I should, since we're talking about upcoming, there you go.
Yeah, no, I think that that's really fair. Otherwise, you won't be able to get anything done and be able to focus if everyone's calling you all the time. So I think that that's really fair. James, I wanted to come to you for just a couple of minutes if I could, because I know you and I have been kind of talking back and forth a little bit about some of the things that you've been working on from the development perspective. Specifically, I know you've been putting a lot of time and effort into the development and the corporate systems side of things. And so I was wondering maybe if you could talk for just a few minutes about what you're doing kind of in this space and kind of let the listeners kind of hear a little about some of the things you've been working on here.
Okay. Well, Bill and I, we probably meet 2 to 3 hours a day and have been for about 4 months. And you know, for a lot of folks, here's the context of how business works. You know, you're a partner, or you're a solopreneur, or you're a business, or you're a corporation. And no matter how small or big you are, when you become a corporation, there's a lot to deal with. Policies. I mean, I did the, I'm nowhere near finished, but the policy manual that Bill and I agreed on, as far as what we needed, there's 186 sections in that thing. It go from anything from, communication policies to social media policies, little things. And it may just be a paragraph, but everybody usually goes, well, why do we need this? We're just a bunch of guys hanging out. We're a bunch of guys hanging out, but we're a community that's creating a movement that's changing the world. You can't do that by smoke signals and thumbs up, so there's a lot of that stuff. And we're also, very hands-on with the transition from Canada to Texas. There's a lot of legalities behind that. We're just really working behind the scenes together to get all that done. And we got deadlines. We've got deadlines there. And then also in some of the training programs, there's a lot of areas of just, we just sort of learn as we go. And that's good. So everybody that's been a part of the programs now as lords or as mentors, they've sort of been the little guinea pigs. And so now we are also the little guinea pigs in development in this context of producing proper protocols, proper procedures that not only establishes a streamlined opportunity for us to become the company that we want to be, but also protects the company that we are, protects the brand, and allows us to expand our product offerings, our value propositions to whatever market segment that we feel necessary. And that's, and to speak to that, we're also, I don't even want to put a time frame into this, but I don't know how much about marketing analysis and, metrics, but it is very, very difficult to be involved in a working company and do things to continue to have the company be profitable and also grow and expand and scale it simultaneously. So I look at it like a one-way highway, and on the right-hand side, we're going 100 miles an hour. On the left-hand side, we're sort of at 35 and we'll eventually catch up. But right now it's very overwhelming because there's a cognitive displacement for me that I have to go, wait a minute, that's on the 35 mile an hour side. And, just establishing getting a grasp around, okay, who are our future market segments? What men? I mean, just in some of the calls that we've had in the last month or so with for sales calls per se, like, well, who are these guys? This is a new avatar, if you will. This is a new person that we're not really didn't realize. I mean, women. Why are women reaching out to us? So there's a whole lot of things in that area that just takes time. And then once we have enough data, we can analyze it and see sort of where we're going. And so when it comes to that kind of stuff, Bill keeps me in line with what needs to be done now and what can be done later, as well
as both.
Yeah.
You and me both.
As in the direction of that we're heading. And so, we Papa Bill or Lord Bill, he doesn't have a whip yet, but I have a feeling that when we all see each other face to face, Bill's going to show up with a pure Texan whip. He's going to have it. He's going to be ready to whop it.
Hold up. You just reminded me that we missed a very important recap from last month. And that is that Kathryn made us all lords, legitimate lords, actual lords. I'm not kidding you. She made us lords.
Yeah.
Bought us land in Scotland and made us all lords. Yeah. Oh yeah. Just had to throw that out. I'm actually Lord. I can get my new Texas driver's license to say Lord Cass Foster Morrow. I'm going to do it.
I think you should.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
What's really cool about what James is talking about is, I know he's really hard on himself, but we're scaling faster than Bill was running this through me about 10 days ago. And the growth rate that we're having right now is it's unreal. And that's part of why we had to do all of that app work to try to make it more seamless. And that's why James is doing this other thing. So that, because we have big things. I mean, it's no secret the book's coming out. There's going to be a lot of people to take care of. And we do not want to leave any Lord behind. Not one,
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that book in a minute, Cass. I'm gonna come back to you. I want to have an opportunity to kind of talk about when we talk about some of the things that are longer term and some of the other things that are kind of coming online here. But James, you said a couple of things here, and then Bill, I would love to get some of your thoughts here on this. But what I kind of really hear you saying is a lot of effort that has been going into building the foundational principles right for a good structure here, right? We want to build a strong, solid foundation on our doctrine and on our procedures and our policies and things of that nature. So that as the program continues to grow, and it will only grow exponentially, right? We're seeing that growth now, but oh boy, once we really get some of this stuff in place and get the laws here in Texas, I have a feeling it's really going to mushroom. And so without having those foundational principles, those foundational pieces, um, it can be really tough to scale to the level that maybe Cass and Kathryn want to, and to within the time frame that they want to, right? I've been a part of a couple of companies where we've kind of set up this world small, and the ethos always was go out and make a huge mess. We'll fix everything up on the back end. Well, I can tell you, I can count on like two fingers how many times that's been successful, because the operational side of it can't keep up with the mess that we're making on the front end. And so, I just want to emphasize that point that I think you're making there, James. It's so important about how we put the development processes in place, the corporate systems in place, the policies and the plans and procedures. And it's not always the sexiest or the most fun thing to do when you're standing up a firm or a company, but they are so necessary, right, to be able to do that. And so I think that that's really important. So, Bill, did you want to add onto this a little bit?
Yeah, I can break it down for you. So basically, what we did, you hit it dead on. A lot of time, that's what I did in my previous life. Is I went in and fixed broken companies, right? So, and it's way harder to remodel. I mean, it makes it exponentially worse. It slows the cogs down. So when Cass and I decided that this is the way his vision wanted to go, I said, okay, then I'm gonna start looking for the team, and we built this team. James came on, and James and I have spent months, literally months. If we officed in the same building, we would be working 160 out of the 168 hours a week, and most of that we spend on the phone, because we don't office together. If we did, we would be in the same office. But we decided, let's look at where the vision is taking the company, and then we structured the company to be that company. Just like we talk about in the reset, be the man you want to be. We structured the company to be the company. If we think this is $1 billion company, so now the structure is in place. We're putting the policies and procedures in place. So as we scale, most companies, they set positions up once they need them. We have every position from the top down set up. As we scale, all we have to do is drop that cog into place. So it'll actually help this be more of a seamless scale where, you've seen companies grow. I was with Halliburton for 20 years. I saw them grow, and it was a nightmare every time we started a new division, or we started another company, or we bought a company. With us, all we have to do is drop the cog into place.
Yeah, Bill, you said that just as I was finished writing that down, you almost did my exact words here, and that is build the infrastructure, build the systems, how you envision the company to be 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, right? Get that long-term vision in place, because that makes it easier for you to scale up. And just like Cass teaches us in the reset, right? Envision the man you want to be and go be that guy. And that's really the foundational pieces you want to set up there. James, I know you have been, and I've been kind of exchanging a couple more messages about the ambassador program. And frankly, I don't know a ton about that. So I was hoping maybe, can you talk about that a little bit? I don't know if that really belongs maybe here, maybe you're in the longer term vision as part of our discussion. But either way, it'll be a nice segue into our next part of our discussion. But can you talk a little bit about the ambassador program?
Sure. What we have here, it all revolves around ascension. When a baby Lord comes in, what do we want? We want him to be a Lord. We want him to be a new man. We want them to exist authentically out of that identity, so that everything they do is related to their core values, and they're not doing something so that they can be something. They are something, so they do this, to put it very shortly. And there's ways of growing within our community, within our movement. And so you become a Lord when you finish the reset, when you begin to master things. But then you can become a senior Lord. And and these monikers may change as time progresses, but that's with anything like new, right? But you can become a senior Lord when all of a sudden what you are is giving back to the community at large, not because it's a covert contract with you or anybody else, but it's because who you are. And we create men who create men who create men. It's like dropping a gremlin in a swimming pool, or or whatever, the mogwai. We just multiply. Just don't eat after midnight. We're not nice guys anymore. We're doing it right. And we believe that there's room for ascension for every Lord. And if the man is actually growing in his personal development, in his identity, in his learning to have conversation, being authentic, if he's doing the work that the reset prepares him to do out of his true self, then he's going to give back. Not because he wants to get, because that's just who he is. He's going to give back. And so ascension creates the opportunity for a senior Lord to be identified. See, a senior Lord is not someone who goes, I'm a senior Lord. A senior Lord is someone who the community goes, that guy. You'll hear Cass sometimes say, look, we got our eye on you. We're watching you. And that's true. We're watching, and other mentors are watching. But at the same time, not everyone's going to be a mentor. Not everyone has the desire or the mindset to be an official mentor, even though every Lord, when he gets to that place, will always be mentoring others. There's a different responsibility. So you got senior Lords and got mentors. So when we see a Lord ascending, he can have the opportunity to join what's called the ambassador program. And that allows the Lord to come in and be trained on some of the back-end operations of what we do, be trained on the app. One day it'd be great if Cass didn't have to be the app guy. And, we had other Lords that could, just like right now tonight, as I'm speaking, I remember, oh gosh, I got to go turn on some access to something for someone. It's just so far out of where we should be, but it's where we are. We do everything that we have to do because that's what Lords do. We do what needs to get done. And sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes our nose is right above water, and sometimes we're about chest level, but we're never below the waist. We're always full of something. And so with the ambassador program, that allows a Lord to come in, get training. I'll go ahead and let y'all know, like Matt Harris is on board. He's going to be partnering with me over the next 2 weeks on Momentum on Wednesday, and going to be teaching a little segment out of one of my acrostics that I'm doing on Discover, and he's going to take 20 minutes out of both calls. And then I'm helping mentor him and walk him through that process. And he may also have to do some technical stuff, or he may find, so he is becoming an ambassador. And then when he gets to that place where he feels comfortable and feels like, I'd like to be a mentor, and is identified in that way, he will grow into the mentor training, go into the mentor training, where like you and others and other Lords who've been here for a while, it's just like, okay, now you're a mentor. And it's not that you weren't trained, but like I spoke about earlier, we have a direction that we know we're going. We have an expectation that we do require, and we are going to make a mentor or an ambassador obligated to that structure. And so we've got to teach them how to do that. We've got to train them and coach them in that way. So not only are they giving back, they're giving back with precision. They're giving back with a heart of service, and they're giving back for a greater vision for themselves and for others. And so that's sort of what that program looks like. There's some policies and procedures, little operational guides and L&D ideas that we're coming to. And so that's really what it is. This is a way for a Lord to ascend and to really put their teeth in and put their feet in and get in the ditch and start working with us, because everybody wants to be a part. But right now, until now, well, there's really not a whole lot for you to do. We don't know. Well, now we know what we need. And I've got a list a mile long of Lord that I need Lords to help fill. So I'm ready for this program to really start training some guys, because we just need some help.
It's just super cool, because if you think about the new company, the new board members, right, partners in the company, like James, Bill, our CFO, right, they are successful in the program and they wanted to be a bigger part of it. But we were already seeing that before this even became, the next thought. We already seeing men taking calls Saturday morning, sacrificing time, you know, Friday night, sacrificing time in the chat, sacrificing time. And so we know we already seen the growth. We already know that people want to be a part of something bigger. They want to leave their jobs. They want to be part of this thing. They want to scale with us, grow with us. We got to get ready for it, man. You know what I mean? And James is right. We need it because we're just growing that fast.
Yeah, it sounds like a really awesome program. And James, thanks for really laying that out, because I think that would be really important for a lot of folks who are going to listen to this, the next couple of days and a couple of weeks. I think that this is a really important program, and so I really hope they're listening to this part of it, because whether you're brand new, cast as we like to call it, baby lord, or you've been in the program for a couple of months, or whatever position that you're in, the more, at least for me, from my perspective, the more comfortable you get within the program and the more you learn and the more aha moments you have about, oh boy, I really didn't do that well, right? If you're worth your salt, you're like, how can I figure out how to get more involved to help others, right? If I would have had this aha moment 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I wouldn't be in this position, right? So I think it's a natural progression here. And James, and I just want to clarify, I wasn't sure if I heard you correctly or not. Is the ambassador program designed to be more like a volunteer kind of thing, or is it more like you're going to be a voluntold, like, hey, we've been watching you, Bill Glenn, we think you're the next, ambassador, person that needs to come into the ambassador program, and here's what we kind of want to use you. Is it going to be more like that, or is it going to be more like, hey, I think I'm ready, I would like to be part of the ambassador program?
Hey,
Both.
James, speak on that for a second, and then
Yep.
you can come in. I think we want to make this very clear. We make men that make men. We will not chase you. We're not going to chase men down. We notice and we mention to them, hey, we got Cass will say, I got my eye on you, or I might pick a guy out, or James will see something that someone has. And, we've got some up and comers that we've been watching it, and we've reached out to those guys, but we reach out and then the ball is in their court. Then at that point, that's when they have to start stepping up. That should be the next level after you get the reset. I mean, the reason I'm here is I told Cass, I was like, I feel like my purpose now is, if I can stop one man from having to go through what I went through, or put his family through what I put my family through, then it made all of the pain that I had worth it to get to where I'm at. And I chased Cass. I chased him down. I kept saying, hey, I think you could take your company here. I think this. I think you're selling this as a relationship course, when really this course is about making men be the best version of man that they can be. So I'll let James take over now, but that's really, if I could get that into all the Lord's heads. Yeah, if we tap you, we're going to be watching you, but we will not chase you. We don't chase men, we make men.
Well, it's so easy for people. I talked to this millionaire guy from Australia today who he's like, oh no, like 5 minutes on the phone. And he's like, no, you're right. Like, I have lots of money, but I guess I don't have anything at all. I'm like, and what are you doing with your money? Like, what kind of impact you're making? Like, there's no point in chasing a man. He either clicks or he doesn't. And he'd rather just sit there at home, be available, and say, I make a lot of money, and have a dumb, shitty fucking life. You know what I mean? You can't convince you. If you go through the reset and you can't be convinced, then you probably are going to stay in your cycle for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. That's choice. That's all that is. Choice.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. I think about this, Dave. Think about this. And I said this last week on Momentum. We're rebooting Momentum. You've been on the call some, and just really providing a foundation for it so that it can expand and to push into every aspect of our programs. And look at Dennis. All right. Dennis is on vacation, so he's not here to be embarrassed, but he's nothing to be embarrassed about. Through Momentum, Dennis began to put himself out there and show his building. Now, I call it build in public. We build, we grow, we discover in public. And when we do that, we begin to have conversations with people as we network and as we create intimacy with the internet or with others. And then we begin to share out of a passion of what we've discovered about ourselves. And in doing so, we teach. And when we teach, then all of a sudden people start to talk, and then the conversation back to us, they teach us. And so everything that you're seeing Dennis do is exactly what we're doing with this Ascension program. all the way to the point where now he's got a program that he's under, that, the purpose program. The people who are doing all of this with us are benefiting so greatly. It feels almost like, well, to the other lords, I'm just left out. And it's not that they're left out. They're just not in the boat yet with that. And you can't make someone get in the boat. They have to decide, you know what, where this boat's going, and you've already left the shore. My shirt's off. I'm swimming to you, baby. And that's sort of the mindset that we have. And I'll just use an example of where the corporate side, me helping Dennis understand sort of certain things in the structure where this, and he's fallen right in line. He's learning whatever he needs to learn. He's asking questions where he doesn't even need to, because he's got the competency in some of these areas, but he wants to be certain. And so now he's at the point where, hey, this is where I need to go. This is where I've been given authority to do. I'm just going to go do it. And so he and I, in a small conversation, then a month later, this entire Ascension program, he comes back and says, what about this? What about this? What about that? And he'll be the one that's responsible for helping train and apply and put people through the process, and it's not, we're behind him 1,000%, because he's the product of this. This is the product of this program. And any Lord can be exactly in that same place, but not all Lords will. Not all Lords will. And so it's not about us going, hey, you want a spot? No, you build the spot. Make yourself, like I said today, mastery is not you doing something for somebody to such a degree that they have to have what you have. Mastery is you being so valuable that they need you in their life. And then you have an impact. You can't do that with somebody else popping a whip behind you. You can't.
Yeah, this is literally where talk is cheap. You can say certain things, but actions are going to speak louder than words here, right? We're going to be looking to watch you dive into the program, be a contributor. I think, as you were saying, whether you're in the chat and helping out in the chat, whether you're on all the calls and participating in the calls and actively being part of that, and then eventually maybe even getting your own kind of program or the like. But you really have got to be able to put yourself out there a little bit. Momentum helped me tremendously, and the like. And so again, another plug for Momentum. I think that's like the third or the fourth one if I'm keeping count here, Cass, but I've lost count a little bit. But it's such a great, powerful program. I think it's a testament to what we're doing here. All right, I'm watching the time here a little bit, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to kind of transition in and talk a little about some of the longer term pieces that we've kind of got coming up here as part of the program, to the extent that we can. Certainly we don't need to talk about 5 years from now, because things are going to change so much. So I'm talking about like longer term. I'm talking maybe next couple of months, maybe 6 months, about what's coming out here. And I think the first thing that jumps to me that I kind of really want to talk about, I'm really excited to learn just a little bit more about this, as I'm sure the listeners are going to be, is the book. Cass, we've got the book coming. It's well on its way here. You've got parts of this out that have been out in various bits and pieces. Can you talk a bit more about the book and how's it coming along, and when's the release date and that kind of thing?
I have to ask first of all if I'm allowed to announce the release date yet.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So September 16th, we're launching the book. You're right. I have a sample of the book out. I was not cheap because I'm traditional Cass favor. September 16th is quite a ways away. So for the last, I think, maybe 25 or 30 days, you can see every pillar of the program, every man that makes, we train you to be 7 men in the reset, every man that makes the pillar up. And I tell you every single subject that I'm going to cover. And so I had one guy who was kind of upset, but he was like, where's the whole thing? And I was like, dude, here's all the topics. Go to fucking YouTube. Like, go listen to my podcast, MorrowMarriage. Like, come on. But all in all, but he did send me a message today. He was asking for more help. He was a nice guy. But emotions. Anyway, so that's super exciting. September 16th is the launch party. That's a Monday, I believe. Right, James? Yeah. And I can't even wait. I'm so excited because, as you know, although our program is not, we don't charge $15,000 or $20,000, which is what our program's worth. We charge, in fact, way less, 25% of that, but it's still out of reach for so many men. So the book gives us an opportunity to get it out. But there's something else too. We've got a Christian version that's going to be out as well. Bible verses that go right to it. I had no idea when I created the reset that you could pull it out from the Bible, but super proud, especially now that I found God. So I'm super excited about that. But as for the next, let's say 30, 40 days before that, I don't know, boys, what you have planned, if there's anything. I'm not sure. For example, maybe your programs, actually, I know you started your calls, Dave, but you've got a program. Maybe you have to tell us about a more immediate release.
Well, I don't know if I heard that. Was that a question back to me, Cass?
Yeah, I was saying like my book is September 16th, which I'm going to say is our book. Everybody's been involved. So many lords, editing, writing. The Christian verses came from Dennis and James, you know. But I think probably prior to that, you'll be releasing your program. Am I wrong there?
No, that's the intent. The intent is that we want to get the spiritual leadership program done by September, almost in at the same time as we're getting the book launched and all those types of things. I want to get the recordings done. We're piloting now. We've had, I think, 2 or 3 calls already, so they're really going to start picking up now here more. We're really going to get into the meat of this now. So over the next probably 5 or 6 weeks, we'll get this done. If we can get through this in through August, then I know you and I have kind of talked about like, hey, we should talk a bit more about what the recordings are going to look like. We talked a little bit about, getting together and like, what does the social media aspects of that look like? I know I'm still pretty novice in that, but yeah, so, like spiritual leadership is going to be, the goal for that is going to be, about the same time frame in mid September. So really excited about that. I think, James, you talked about Dennis has got his, program that's now out there. He's coming through the program. I thought was really incredible on purpose and the like. And so there's just more to come. I know Rob's working on his program with reflections and the like. And talking about another program that I've just seen and watched grow over the last 30, 45 days are the reflection calls that Rob's been running there. They've just been so inspirational, and guys that are just now actively talking about how they're journaling. And I think it's really exciting there. So lots of great things that that we haven't really talked about. I don't, I'm not going to steal any of Rob's thunder. I know he has an idea about what he wants to do in film and when he wants to release his. Maybe that's an agenda item for next month. Maybe we'll get Rob on to talk a little bit about his program. I think that might be exciting. But kind of in relation to the book a little bit, I think one of the other things we want to talk just a little bit about is the publishing company, right? James, I don't know if you want to talk about that, or Bill, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Let Bill start.
I can start with that. As I showed you when we started, the back view here is a beautiful view of Texas. I'm in Texas right now again. The publishing company is finally set up. Everything's good. That's why I gave Cass the yes on giving the release date. For once, I was the bottleneck on this. So it wasn't really me. It's filing the business, getting the account set up, getting all the stuff we needed for Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. But yes, the book is ready. I was going to bring up the publishing company because it is going to be a fully operating publishing company. And I know we have a lot of lords that are writing books. I know Rob's writing books. James writes a book a week, I think, this dude. Just kidding. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but if me and Cass didn't keep James so busy, he probably could write a book a week. But if any of the lords are interested in publishing a book, our company is open and ready to operate.
Yep.
Bill, that's exciting. Is there a name associated with it, or is it just?
Yep.
It's
MorrowMarriage.
New Rock Press is the name of the company.
I love the name. I don't know who created the name, but I know it's piggybacking off the new man, and I appreciate you so much.
Yep.
I don't ever came up with the name. I think it was
Rob. I think it was Rob.
It was a collaborative effort. We had on the table, and so we took the ideas and we came, and I thought, you know what? We're creating newness. we got the Foundation of the Rock, New Rock Press, and it was available because we had 5 or 6 different variations and none of them were available. And that one was available. And before the call was over, I got the URL. So it's newrockpress.com. And we've got a little simple site up right now. And there's not much on there, but you can get the download to the free, to the sample book on there. And then hopefully by the end of next week, we'll have all the other lords who are going to write books. We'll have them listed there of what their future publishings are going to be. Rob is going to be managing director of the publishing company at the present time. And
just another example of a lord who came in, became a new man, decided to go make men. Partnered with us right away, said that we should do our own. He worked so hard to figure out how to help the marketing and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden he's like, publishing company, we should just do it. And the boys liked it. The board voted. We said, let's go. It's just such a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, it's awesome listening to you talk about the kind of the name there a little bit and how fitting is that. There's so many different pieces of symbolism with that. A rock, that's what you build your foundation on, right? You build on solid rock. You don't build it on sand or anything like that. It's got biblical references. Peter was the rock of the church, and there's so many cool things that are associated with that. So bringing your Christian faith back into this a little bit, Cass, and your newfound Christian faith, and it's so exciting to see that. And I love that. And I know, I've been talking to Dennis on a couple of different things. I plan on doing a workbook as part of the spiritual leadership piece of it as well. I know Cass, you and I talked about that a little bit. So there's some awesome things. I know Dennis said there are some templates on how we want to do those workbooks and the like. So there are lots of exciting things. Glad to hear that Rob's going to be a huge part of that. That's really exciting as well. So lots of great things that I think are kind of coming up here in the not so distant future for MorrowMarriage. Okay, just very quickly here, I know we're coming up on just about an hour here. Any new programs or anything like that we kind of want to talk about as we kind of tie this into some of the things that are kind of coming on here? I'm not sure if there's any. I know, like we talked about Dennis with his empathy piece and with his purpose pieces that have been coming along here. Was there anything else from a new program perspective that we want to talk about?
Well, I think we can bring up the fact that Dennis so the original purpose call was like a beta, and then we just did the deeper dive 4 weeks worth of calls that's in process right now with Dennis's program. After this, he's creating an actual even deeper dive.
Guys, you haven't even, I went through the whole thing. It's unbelievable. It's like momentum on steroids, man. It is unbelievable. He's guiding, and what I did was I worked with him a little bit and talked about how he could use momentum. Actually, I just had to guide him into doing this. He knows what he's doing now. He's a solid. And so he takes the parts of momentum that fit with what he's doing and he blends them. And that's what we're going to be delivering. So these guys that got in right now for this special, it's a good deal. Because by the time what I've seen right now, I might have to charge $25,000 for this thing. Jeez Louise, it's that good. We won't. But you know what I mean? It's Bill's laughing. You'll do what I tell you. But no,
he's gonna get his whip out, Cass. He'll get that whip out at you.
Yeah, that's right. No, it's phenomenal. I'm super impressed. It was much more than I was expecting, because as a guy who creates, as the man who's doing this thing, you don't know, but it's like my little baby Lord grew up, man. It's super cool to see, and I'm sure I'll feel the same way about yours. I'm sure I'll feel the same way about Rob's. It's just, it makes me so damn proud,
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's beautiful. All right. Well, just the last couple of minutes that we've got here, I know I've dedicated probably a little bit more time for a Q&A section of this, but I really thought we had some really great discussions here about the book and the press releases and some of those types of things that I thought those were really important to kind of get that out. I guess for just one thing I'll throw out there for you, because I mean, we are trying to standardize this call a little bit more, so that we can get great information out to everybody that's part of the program here. One quick thing, maybe as part of a quick discussion, that I thought would be good is, how would you feel about getting something out there that, as more and more people kind of review these fireside chats, these state of the program updates and the like, that we can get them to say, hey, when you do the next state of the program or the next fireside chat, I'd like to hear you talk more about blank XYZ.
Love it.
What do you all think about getting something up there so folks can maybe say, hey, I'd like to hear more about this. I'd like to hear Cass or Bill or somebody talk more about this aspect of the program.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we just need to figure out where they can send their questions. I think that would be great. I do. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I like it for my podcast too. I want to answer, I want to give what you want. So, for example, just for now, we can figure this out in a better way. But for this month, why don't we do cass@morrowmarriage.com, right? And just send me the info, what you want to know. Because we'll be fully transparent. Okay. Now,
Okay,
real quick,
y'all been taking shots about Bill with a whip. I just want to say that email, I already have 6,000 emails in there. So
we need to get a new
Right.
email. No, I know.
It's gonna be like finding a needle in a haystack, right, Bill? I wonder where there's something in here that people wants to talk about next month.
Make the subject fireside question.
There you go.
Or Morrow question. I don't care. We'll search question. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. We'll call it fireside chat. Subject fireside chat question or something like that. That's a great idea. Awesome.
Now, real quick before we end this though, I wasn't thinking. We added a bunch of programs this month. We gave Conquer the Monster, which is insecurity, right? And that includes how to respond, not react, climbing up the rejection ladder, 3 different stages. It includes safe reactions, what you do if you don't know how to respond and you're protecting yourself. That includes anxiety training. And I showed you the written pages of the new book on those sections. Okay. With the exception of anxiety training, we couldn't put that in the book ethically, which we say in the book. Okay. You'll just understand when you go through it. We created Higher Ground. So 1 lesson a month, but join me on my Thursday calls personally. And there's watching any special trainings, but it's a nice, affordable monthly package for somebody who can't afford full coaching. Okay. And then they can still have me even. Okay. Was there another one, guys? Oh, a romance hacks. So if you struggle with like text message templates and, gifts, there's just a way to use romance that I have a different take on. So we've included that as a little package. So, we're doing what we can. We're just keep watching, man. More's coming,
Yep.
Yeah, Cass, I'm just looking at the app now with the Conquer the Monster, the romance hacks, the high ground, all this thing incredible there. And the automatic turn-offs piece, that's I think that's been there for a while, but yeah, that's incredible. It's really looking great.
And
Yeah.
just Cass, talking about that shows his vision, and the fact that we're seeing, especially in the current economy, we're seeing guys that really need help, and we find the aspect of their life that they need the most help in right now, and we're not letting their financial situation hinder them from getting the help that they need. So we're making these packages that they can get their foot in the door and get them headed in the right direction.
Oh man,
So,
you wouldn't even believe the amount of text messages I get, or Facebook DMs, for example, or Instagram DMs. They ask for, you DM the word system to me and I'll send you a sample of the book. Whenever I send it out, I don't just send them that and say, hey, let me know if you need help. I say, I'm getting tremendous testimonials, because it's true, results from men who are using this PDF, reading it, and listening to my podcast together. They're going, this is changing my marriage, moving it forward. Like, the point is, take a step. We're doing it for you. Take a step, Yeah.
Yep. There's no room for a nice guy. Nice guys get left behind, guys. I'm telling you right now. Nice guys going to stay on the side of the road with their pouts.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the world is ending. Yeah.
You have no idea, James, how many times I catch myself getting ready to say something and I'm like, that's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I changed my name so much. This is too long. It takes too much time to say that. So I say, that's Ryan. That's Ryan. We laugh at that guy. And then we just move on. Be Cass instead. Yeah.
I'll say one thing real quick, just about future right now in the making. I think I'm working with about 7 lords who want to do something and who are coming to the table with viable ideas, with good structure, that's going to enhance the lives of the other lords. And that's really where it starts, right?
Can you,
And-
James, can you, like, we'll say, we'll prerequisite. We don't know if it'll follow through yet, or if it'll be a later thing, but can you give us a few examples?
Yeah, like for example, there's one lord that wants to do a roundtable discussion on a podcast about specific self and personal development things, about the nice guy, about books and things of that nature. Just to get it out there and start doing the publishing there. There's a lord who wants to do a corporate planning, like a corporate benefit structure, to go out into these companies and say, hey, you know, one of the number one reasons productivity fails in America or fails in the world, when somebody's having a sucky marriage at home, they don't give a shit about their job, you know. And he wants to developing an opportunity to go in and provide a benefit for like $1 a month for a program we build that helps develop, you know. And we're talking about companies with 20, 30, 40, 50,000 employees as a benefit. And then there's some that, like one guy wants to do a training on confidence and having self-awareness and really beginning to understand how that works in the context of everything. And so all of it ties together. Everything is enmeshed.
I know two of the three for sure. I know who's doing it, and those, if they're on board, then those will be developed. We're good. We're crushing. Yeah.
Yeah. The three I know are going to happen, and then I've got a long list of lords who want to help with the youth reset. I'll go ahead and tell you the first step on that is we're going to publish a book with the youth reset in it, and then from the book we're going to expand the programs. And there's an ethics behind that as well. And then there's just a few other ideas that are being thrown around that you know, we'll see.
Let's dangle a few carrots. Dangle a few carrots. Yeah,
that's right. There you go, brother.
Yeah.
That all sounds super exciting, guys. You know, I think that's exactly what we wanted to kind of get out of this fireside chat, this state of the program update. It's all about for our listeners and people who are going to view this to be like, wow, there's so much more out there. And, you know, we're really just at the tip of the spear here with what we're being able to bring to not only to the current members, but our future membership here and folks that are going to be part of this program, and just so much more work that we can do out there. Good work, meaningful work that's going to have a huge impact across the globe. So, I mean, lots to be proud of here. My hat's off to all of you and the leadership team who are doing all this work. Look, I just had to kind of close this out here a little bit. I just want to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come here and provide some of these updates. And for those of you who are listening here, our next day of the program update will be in mid-August. We look forward to kind of seeing you all there and joining us, and look forward to seeing you as part of the programs as well. So, any last closing comments, guys?
Go get your life.
There you go.
Go get your life.
That's good enough.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
See you guys.
All right.